All right, guys, welcome to our Orange video, just kind of going over the format that you should be following for this final project. I know it's been a while since we used Orange, so this is just going to kind of serve as a reminder to get you guys caught up. And we're going to get to go over test and score, which is something we haven't done previously. So first off, let's take a look at the way that we have our data structured here. So for this example, I'm just going to show you one of the social media app examples. You will need one of these kind of setups for each of the social media apps that you are analyzing. So the whole goal of this assignment, right, is to predict and estimate how much money you are making these companies based on your screen time. And so our algorithm is going to not only predict how much time that you're going to spend on these applications, but also how much money you're going to make these social media companies. So essentially what we're going to end up with here is a foundation for an effective way of making these kinds of predictions. So long story short, we don't have enough data to effectively make predictions here because we only have 7 days worth of data. But the more that you add, the more capable it will be. So let's go ahead and break this down. So for my training data, I have a file that I have brought in that looks like this. There we go. Here is my training data. I have my days of the week, my this is all average data that I just randomly generated. So like hours on TikTok, and then TikTok's ARPU dollars per hour, which I've estimated at 0.025 cents per hour. So I'm doing that for each social media company, total number of hours spent that day on the application, and how much money I made that company with my attention to their app. So this is what my table looks like. And my testing data is simply just going to be a blank data table with only the days of the week filled in. So by default, when you bring this into Orange, let's take a look at our file here. By default, days of the week is going to get categorized as text and metadata. We want to change that to categorical and feature. We're going to hit apply right there, because we want that for both of our training and our test data. The days of the week needs to be categorical data that we are going to add as a feature, and click apply. So our data table looks like this. We have TikTok hours, for all the different apps and the amount of money we're making. Then I'm going to bring in a select columns node. And then this node, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all of the features that aren't pertaining to TikTok, and I'm going to add my features. And the two features that I want to keep track of are the days of the week and the ARPU dollars per hour of this application. This is what I'm concerned with, because I want our model to predict primarily how many hours I'm going to spend on this application on any given day. So my target variable is going to be TikTok hours, and then it's going to make a prediction on how much money I'm making them through my time. So first, let's go over test and score. So what this is going to do essentially is just let us know how well our model is performing. So we're only going to focus on a couple things here. So you can see I have my test and score node created. I'm feeding in my linear regression and my training data. And now what I'm doing here is something called cross-validation. It's a way to test your algorithms using your training data specifically. We're not going to worry about all of these. We're only going to be primarily concerned with the mean square error score. Now with the mean square error score, the lower is better. If you have a score of 0, that means that your algorithm is perfectly predicting things. So what cross-validation is doing is it's separating your training data and creating these things called folds in order to simulate essentially how well your algorithm is going to perform. So we can test just straight through with the training data specifically by clicking this button here. And you'll see that everything zeroes out because it's not doing anything fancy. It's just taking the training data and using it to test the model. And of course, it's going to return 0 because the training data is the data it's trained on. So it's not going to be any different. Cross-validation is it's simulating, those different values and giving us an estimate. So right now my MSE score is at 2.7, which is totally fine. So that's how you use test and score, just to give you an idea of how to use it and the kind of results that you get. So now what we can do is we can take our linear regression model and plug it into our predictions using our test data. And again, this is the same thing. I'm pulling in the same features and plugging them into here. And this data table, again, is just a blank one with days of the week. And it's going to do its best to estimate how many hours I am spending on this application. So what we can do now is I can create another prediction. And I'll do another select columns, feeding this file in. And I'm going to move everything over that isn't TikTok related. This. And this time I'm going to make dollars per hour my target instead of hours. So we'll do another linear regression. There we go. And so because our training data is so limited, of course it's going to predict all of these values exactly the same as what is in these data tables, because there isn't any variance in our data whatsoever. We don't have multiple different values for the days of the week. We only just have one value per day of the week. So it is going to get these perfectly every single time. And all that means is that now we need to give it more data in order for it to make meaningful predictions. So for those of you that have the extra time to do it, you can now go into your data tables and add that additional information, more data per days of the week that you have. For some of you, that's not going to be viable because you're graduating, so don't worry about it. This is the layout that you're going to have for each of the social media apps that you chose. I'm sure there's a more efficient way to do this, but it gets the job done. So that is what we are going to stick to. And if you have any questions, let me know.